Hello. In this video, I will show you how to clip out parts of an image that you've pulled in from Google image search. The first thing we want to do is to isolate the image that we'll be working in. And remember that we use layers to stack each of these images into separate parts of our image file. And those are called layers. And if you look on the right-hand side, you've got your layers viewable in Photoshop. And again, if you don't see those, click on the window menu and go to layers and make sure that the checkbox is indeed checked. You can hide each layer by clicking on the eye icon next to the layer. So we'll hide the hamster layer, we'll hide Times Square, and we'll also hide the background layer so that we have just the ball layer isolated in our image file for now. Remember that hiding a layer just means you hide it, and you can always bring it back by clicking on that little box next to the layer where the eye icon would be. We're going to look at one tool to separate parts of the image in Photoshop. And the tool we're going to look at is the Lasso tool. So if you go to your toolbar and click on the third tool down, you'll see, if you click and hold, you'll see that there's three options to the Lasso tool. There's the standard Lasso tool, the polygonal Lasso tool, and the magnetic Lasso tool. For this demo, let's click on the magnetic Lasso tool. And what this does is it will select out just the ball. And the magnetic Lasso tool follows edges within your image. This one's real easy. I've selected a ball against a white background, so the edge of the ball is real sharp and crisp. Now, before we start, you want to look at your tool options bar at the top of your Photoshop view. And it's just below the menus. So your tool options bar, and look for a setting called frequency. I've already set mine to 100, but yours might be at 50 or 10 or 20 by default. And you'll want to set that to 100. That creates a more detailed edge to your image. Then click anywhere along the edge of the ball, so along the actual edge of the ball, not the edge of the image. And what you want to do is roughly follow that edge and try not to stray from the edge. And you can see that Photoshop will place little markers all around the edge that indicate to it where it will draw a selection and isolate the ball from the rest of the image. Now, when you get to the end, you'll see that a tiny little circle popped up right next to the magnetic lasso icon. And that means that you've looped back around to the beginning and click. And you'll now see that there's a selection drawn around the ball. Some people call that a fence. Some people call it the marching ants because it looks like little ants marching along the edge of your image. Whatever you choose to call it, at this point, you will cut the ball out from the rest of the image. And you can do that by going to Edit, Cut, and you'll notice that the shortcut key on your keyboard is Command X. And I'll click Command and X, and it cuts out the ball from the rest of the image. That ball is now in our clipboard, and we want to paste it in. So to paste it is Command V. The ball is now in a separate layer. So notice when we pasted the ball, it is now in a separate layer. And if you want to change the name of the layer, click where the words are, layer 1, and double click on the word, layer 1. And I'm going to change it to ball 2 and hit enter. And that layer is now called ball 2. Here's my original layer of the ball, and let's hide ball 2. And we'll see there's the original layer. I'm going to delete this layer now. I don't need this information at all. So I'll click on that layer. I'm clicking on the layer that I named ball, and just click delete on your keyboard. That will delete that layer. Now I can show the ball layer, and that ball is now isolated, and we're getting closer to creating our collage of the hamster rolling across Times Square in Photoshop. Let's look at the hamster. So now I'm going to hide the ball layer and reveal the hamster layer. Notice that this layer has been placed on the edge of the image. So I need to move the layer more towards the center of the image so I can see the entire image file. The hamster is almost fully showing, but some of the white parts are not, and I need to be able to see the whole image so I can clip it out. And the tool we use for that is the Move tool. Top tool in your toolbar, click on the Move tool. And an important aspect of the Move tool is to look at your tool options bar, again, just below your menus. And you'll see now that I've clicked on the Move tool, it has the options for the Move tool. And what I want to check is that, or what I want to look at is this Auto Select checkbox. And you can see that that's a little checkbox right there. If I click Auto Select, it doesn't matter which layer I'm in, whichever layer I click on in my image, it'll auto select that layer and move it. So you can see if I click on the ball layer, but then I click on the hamster in my image, watch on the right hand side where my layers are, and it will automatically select the hamster layer because I clicked on that part of the image. So that's a nice feature, is the auto select. Sometimes you want that turned off because it makes it difficult to select the layer you actually want. And in that case, you would select the checkbox and it goes away. And then, for example, I could click on the ball layer, and even though I can't see it, because I've got it selected and auto select is turned off, I can move the ball layer. So let's go back to the hamster layer. I've got it moved to the center of the screen. And again, we'll do a quick magnetic lasso. I'll click on the magnetic lasso tool, select an edge, and follow that edge more or less around the image. And again, notice that it drops little squares around the image. They're little anchor points that indicate to Photoshop where to draw the selection once you finish the loop. And we're almost there. And when you get to the end again, you'll see a little circle pop up just next to the lasso tool. Click, it creates the selection. Command X will cut it out, and Command V will paste it. And then I can go to the original hamster layer. If I hide the one I just pasted, I can see the original hamster layer with the hamster clipped out. Make sure you're clicked on the right layer and press delete on your keyboard to delete that layer. And now you can show the hamster layer. And if you go to your Move tool, you can move the hamster around. Oops, see, in this case, I did not have auto select on, and I accidentally had the Times Square layer selected. So when I went to move the hamster layer, it didn't actually move. It moved the Times Square layer. So let's get Times Square back in there. Even though it's not visible, I can still move it. So if you don't have auto select on, be really careful which layer you've got selected. So I'll click on the hamster and move it up here. And we're almost ready to complete this image. In our next video, we'll look at how to resize different layers and how to compile them into a final image. See you there.